Please note that the content of this episode has explicit language and is not suitable for underage listeners. Hi, I'm CJ, and I've done phone sex for 23 years. Let's get started. I want to thank you all for indulging me in my last podcast. If you listened to it, it was a lot of questions and answers, so thank you for coming back and listening to more. Don't forget, email me please at phonesexqueen1@gmail.com, and I will answer your questions or your comments or whatever you've got for me. So I wanted to start with a caller that came back to me after being away for a while, and I totally forgot about him. He wrote me and said something about, do I remember him? And of course, I don't remember everybody. I do remember a lot of people, but I don't remember 100% of the people that call me. This guy doesn't call me, he chats with me. There's a place on the platform where people can write you back and forth. It's like instant messaging. And you get paid for it, which is fine. Each volley, they write you, you write them, you get paid. They write you, you write them, you get paid. When someone emails you, which is different, you don't get paid. So I don't like doing a whole bunch of back and forth emails because I don't get paid for it. It's a waste of my time, and even if I'm sitting here doing nothing, I just don't feel like emailing. This particular guy, after reading a bunch of our chats to refresh myself, he doesn't call, like I said, he chats. So he recently came back and wanted to pick up where we left off. How am I supposed to remember that? So I read through the chats, and he wants to start a new scenario. So now I'm in this chat relationship with this guy who won't call me for whatever reason. Everybody's got their reasons for doing what they do. And so we're having a relationship. It's a fantasy relationship, of course. It would be like if he called me, this would be a role play that we're doing. And our parents, well, maybe it's not our parents, but our families don't tend to agree with our choices. I much prefer talking on the phone. That is my personal preference. But I can't tell him that because for reasons unbeknownst to me, he just wants to chat. He may not be able to call, so I put up with it. So last night, well, it's not last night to you, but last night for me, he tipped me a very large tip, and that was very sweet. It was thank you so much for putting up with me and all that. So it kind of makes it worse, the chatting back and forth, because I don't really want to, and he tips me and thinks it's great. Either way, it's money, and that's fine. Sometimes he writes me when I'm offline and you have 24 hours to respond to get paid. So when I get up in the morning or when I look at my chat, I'll respond back to him. But it's not easy for me to continually be creative. That takes a lot of work. So I deserve the tribute, the tip, the tribute, whatever, for sure. Here's an example of a recent conversation that we had, just so you get an idea of what's going on. So he says, it's been a couple days since we last saw each other. We've both been occupied, but I've missed you and you've been on my mind all day. I text you and I tell you so. I say, I'm so happy you reached out to me. We're so busy. He says, are you prepared to get away to some place remote soon, like we discussed? Either way, maybe you could sneak over tonight. I say, I'm always ready to get away. I can come over later. He says, I'll be waiting. I hear the place I was thinking about is available this weekend. We could look into it and see if you like it. Plus, I could use a little of your special company. I really have missed you. I say, I'm sure I'll love it. I missed you too. I'll be over soon. He says, I know you still have my key. Come over when you have the time. And I say, oh, I know I have your key. I unlock the door and come into your place. He says, I was just about to text you back. You must have already been at the door when you sent your last message. I get up and greet you with a big embrace and a long kiss. I say, I've missed the way you feel, kissing you, wrapping my arms around your neck. I pull you in closer. Your kisses are so addicting. I tell you, I was talking about the key to the front door, but you really have the key to my heart as well, and I kiss you again. He said that. I said, I love the sentimental side of you. I must confess, I feel the same way. He says, come snuggle with me on the couch. I was using my tablet to research potential destinations. I said, surprise me, ha ha ha. He says, well, I was thinking about a lakeside place, but being a summer, not many secluded places available. Then I thought out of the box, how about a more winter-oriented place, and found this cabin, base of a ski resort mountain. Nearest cabin is more than a quarter mile away, has a sun deck with a jacuzzi spa and a short trail down to a little river with floats and a canoe. I said, it sounds perfect. I can't wait. He says, we could take off Friday morning and come back Monday night. Does that work for you? I say, absolutely. He says, 3 nights alone, just the two of us, clothing optional, except maybe the river, probably other canoes potentially. It's about a 90-minute drive from here. I said, sounds perfect, and I'm excited. Thank you. He says, I have a 12-hour day ahead of me. We have enough time to make dinner plans. We decide on this new place that neither of us has been to, but has been getting a great reviews. You'll take care of the reservations and make contact with the restaurant as soon as they start answering today. I get into the shower, and meanwhile, you lay out some work clothes for me to wear today and another outfit that will work for dinner that will match with something you will wear. The plan is to meet here after work so I can take a quick refreshing shower, change, and head to dinner. You're excited because once we step out the door tonight, I'm all yours for 4 days. I'm excited as well, and work should be easier with that thought in the back of my mind all day. I get out of the shower, dressed. We throw together a quick breakfast for us. We kiss goodbye at the door. Your embrace is difficult to leave, but I know you'll be waiting right here when I get back. I say, I have a secret. I took today off to pack and to chill before our weekend together. I'll be waiting in your place for you when you get home. I'm so ready to spend the weekend with you. This feels like a dream. He says there are a few hurdles that morning, but with my years of experience as a project leader, it should be smooth sailing the rest of the day for my team. Plus, they should not need any more input from me until later next week, even though I'll be back Tuesday. I still have to get the team through the rest of the day. I tell everyone to head to lunch at noon, but be back and ready to go by 1:30. I take advantage of that time to fill up with gas and grab a sandwich. I notice a shop across the street, which gives me an idea. Back at work after lunch, the team works flawlessly, and I send them home at 6. I spend the next 2 hours writing up a detailed plan of what I expect to come back to on Tuesday. Probably a little too detailed, but I figure the more information I leave the team, the less likely they will need to bother me. I leave the info for my lead associate and head home. I open my front door, and I'm immediately met with the most welcoming embrace I could ever imagine. I say, I love being at your place, welcoming you home. I certainly can get used to that. I'm happy to hear that you got your work situation all sorted out, so you won't be interrupted while we are gone. I'm so excited. He says, I can tell how excited you are by the way you greet me at the door. You're all dressed to knock me out. You look amazing. My mind is thinking maybe we just stay home, but you shoo me towards the shower so I can get refreshed and dressed, or we will be late. And I do exactly that because I think you do deserve to be spoiled tonight. We have 4 days of playtime still coming. I'm ready as fast as I can be. I escort you to the passenger door like a gentleman should. We drive to the restaurant and I escort you from the passenger side as well. This place looks great from the outside. I wonder how it is inside. I hand the valet the keys and we head in. I say, you're so thoughtful. This place is amazing. I love being on your arm and being seen with you. I want everyone's head to turn because they are jealous that I am with you. You are truly the man of my dreams. He says, this place is amazing, much nicer than I could have imagined. Here I am with you on my arm. I notice so many heads turn, so envious that this goddess is with me. The maitre d' approaches, bonsoir. I answer, oui, reservation pour deux, Smith. He looks at his book, turns to the young lady and says table 5. She turns to us and asks us to follow her. We get seated at a fairly private table, lit with candles, and are handed menus and tells us our waitress will be by in a minute. I take a look at the menus and I confess to you, thank goodness these are in English. I don't speak French, let alone read it, and I smile. I love this place and the table. Wow, but more than that, you speak French. Where did you learn that? I'm quite impressed. People may be staring, but it's just not at me. It is at us. We seem to have a presence. I'm the luckiest girl in the world to be with you and to be spending the weekend with you. I just can't wait to go home and rip your clothes off. But first, I reach for your leg under the table and give your crotch a gentle squeeze to let you know I'm enjoying every minute of being here with you. I am parched. Let's get a drink. He says that was pretty much the extent of my French language capabilities. I chuckle. Yes. No. Please. Thank you. Reservation for 2, which is way north. And where is the bathroom is about it. Unlike you, I've never been off the continent. I've had to visit Quebec a few times for work. That's the only reason I even know that. The waitress comes over and asks if we would like something to drink. I ask for a carafe of the recommended house specialty wine and 2 glasses. She heads off to get it. I whisper, you are absolutely shameless sometime. I love it. And I kiss you. I get the hint for what you want for dessert, but we still have 4 uninterrupted days together. What's your fancy for dinner? I kiss you again. I am shameless, but only with you. I'm feeling steak and shrimp as I snuggle your neck. He says, that sounds good to me as well. We set the menus down and the waitress comes back and asks if we're ready to order. I say deux de steak et crevettes. S'il vous plaît. She replies, 2 orders of steak and shrimp. Okay, how would you like that steak cooked? I tell her medium. She turns for your answer. I say medium rare. There you go again, speaking French. Ooh la la. The French title of the dish was in the description on the menu, he says. Thought I'd use the advantage of that observation to tease you a little. I must have been pretty close with my pronunciation because she understood me. I smile, and I kiss you and place my hand on your thigh as we look into each other's eyes. I say, you're right, you did tease me. I didn't even pay attention that there was French on the menu. I'm only paying attention to you, my darling. He says, I'm all yours through Monday night or even Tuesday morning if you want. We have all the time in the world for now. Hopefully you aren't bored with me by then. I tease and smile. I say, oh my goodness, I will never be bored with you. You are wonderful, sexy, sweet, and amazing. I kiss you on the lips and say, now you may get bored of me, but I will always try to keep it exciting. He says, before I can say anything, the waitress comes over with our salads and some bread and asks if we need anything else. I tell her no and thank you. I look back into your eyes. I could stare into your eyes for eternity and never be bored, but I'm sure we will find plenty of other things to do to keep each other occupied. I look at what the waitress left for us. You know what I find amusing in fancy places like this? Is that this is actually the proper etiquette. I reach for the loaf of bread and tear off a chunk and offer you some. What's proper, I ask. I laugh. I think we are doing our best to be proper here, but you know, I love my bread, but not as much as you. Oh, did I say that? Yikes, it just came out. He says it's considered rude to use a knife. See, they didn't even provide one, and your feelings are mutual, which reminds me, I bought you a present during lunch. I'm still wondering when will be the proper time to present it to you, and no, I do not have it on me right now, so eat your salad. The main course will probably be here soon. I say, oh, I love presents. I can wait. I'm here with you, so I'm good. I love pulling bread apart. I love that our feelings are mutual. He says, we finish our salad and surprisingly most of the bread, which is so fresh. I was really impressed with the house salad dressing. The waitress comes over with our main dishes. That smells even better than it looks. She notices the small wine carafe is empty and the bread is almost gone. She asks if we would like more. I say, oui, s'il vous plaît. She leaves and I look at you and wink. I say, trying to get me tipsy? I'm a sure thing. I tease, yes, please more wine for sure. You're so hot. Dinner smells so good and tastes amazing. This is all so perfect. He says, you're perfect. I reach over and kiss you again, and the carafes are small, not even a couple of glasses each. I cut into my steak for a bite. It's so juicy and tender. I say, this is the best night of my life, and I lean in and grab your face and kiss you. We finished with our meals, and we had a great conversation. We talked about your travels and the places that would have been better if we were together, more romantic. The waitress gathers our plates and asks us for dessert. I ask if there is a house specialty, and she says yes. I take the opportunity to follow up on that dance. I do love dancing with you, being so close to you in your arms, I say. He says, like a warm embrace in motion, the waitress must have noticed us dancing and waits a couple of songs before coming over with dessert. I tell him it's all just perfect. He gives me a tip, and I thank him, and he writes me at this point, you're welcome. Thank you for taking the time to play with me. I really have been having a lot of fun with this story. I like using my imagination, and you have been reacting in ways that keep it interesting. I hope you're having fun as well, and if you ever get bored with me or don't like where the story is going, that you please just let me know. I write, it's been totally fun, and you are creative, and I love that. Thank you for the fun, naughty fantasy. Never boring. So clearly you get the gist of the role play. It's not easy coming home from work or after work, getting his messages and having to come up with something interesting. I know I could just play off what he says, but I don't want to sound, boring. Someday it's super easy and words just come out, and other times it's a chore. And it is what he likes to do. It's his own way of communicating with me and getting what he wants. He stopped writing me for the last couple days, and it's kind of good. It kind of gives me a break. So that was very long, but that's a very short snippet of a much longer conversation. There's a lot of sex in there, which I took out because you don't need to hear that, but you get the gist of it. So there are a few people who do that. He is the most recent guy that's doing that, more consistent person that's doing that. So there you go. So that's one of my callers, if you will, but he's not really a caller. So shifting gears a little bit, something very sweet happened the other night. You may not think it's sweet, but to me it is. I have this regular guy. He's the nicest guy. Oftentimes he just writes me, not role plays like that, but he just writes me. And when he has a free moment, he will call me. But of late, our schedules are such where he just writes me and he will tip me a little tip here and there. It's $1. It's something like, I'm thinking about you, here's $1. I'm thinking about you, here's $1. And that's to show his appreciation, and it all adds up. I mean, by the end of the day, it could be $40, it just depends. So occasionally he'll tell me he has something to confess or has something to say to me. And it's usually nothing major, but to him it is. So he says to me, I have something to confess. Can I call you? And I said, of course, give me a call. So he calls me and he says again, I have something to confess. And I said, okay. He says, well, I'm not married, but I do have a significant other. I said, oh, dang, I was hoping you were pining for me and, we would get together. And of course I was kidding, but it was super sweet. He thought that by telling me a couple things, he could get it off his chest. He wasn't hiding that part of his life. And on the other hand, he was nervous because he wanted to tell me, but didn't know how I would react. I told him with uncertainty that nothing would change. Everything's the same. I did ask the question, why he didn't get married to her, because they've been together for quite a while. I asked how long, and he said quite a while. And I really didn't get an answer why they're not getting married. And at the end of the day, it's none of my business. I just figured I'd ask because we've talked for so long. He's just a client, and I'm fond of him, but not emotionally attached, as I had mentioned in my previous podcast. But I like him, and I enjoy our banter. He has two very distinctive sides to him, and we explore both. And I think he was very nervous to tell me, thinking it could change everything. It really doesn't change anything, other than the fact that he felt comfortable enough to tell me. That's on him, and he didn't have to say anything. I told him I wasn't married. I told him I had a fuck buddy, and I just said that because I used to. But they don't need to know anything about me unless they ask. They see my picture. They think, of course, I should have a boyfriend, so a fuck buddy is good enough for now. He's sweet. I'm glad he told me, and we'll move forward from here. He's a nice guy. His two very distinct sides are that he is very submissive and will do whatever I say. But this new side of him is very dominant, and I like that side of him. He has yet to call me with that side. He always calls me with the submissive side. And so I had told him one day that I would like that dominant side to come out on a call. I asked him on this particular call with his girlfriend, like, is he a more dom or sub? Where does he lie in his real life? In his real life, he's dominant. So I understand why he wants to be submissive with me. But either way, I appreciate the honesty. He didn't have to say anything. I don't care. But it made him feel better to tell me and to see what my reaction would be. So that was very sweet. I have a caller. I don't know if I've mentioned him or not, but he calls with the same fantasy role play every single time. I'm a teacher. He's my student. He either comes into my office or I come to his dorm and he says he failed the test. And I tell him, well, I'll be happy to have you make up the test because you're a really good student. And he says, the reason why I failed is because you're wearing shiny lipstick and it looks like you have cum on your lips. And it's very distracting. And he failed his test. And I say, I'd be happy to make it up. And I keep telling him that. And he says, I'm not interested. Fine, I'll make it up, but you need to take off your clothes. Get on your knees and suck his cock. And he's very demanding, and he doesn't let me get away with anything. If you don't take off your skirt and bend over the desk, I'll fuck you in the ass. When this role play first came about with him, he wanted me to fight him back, verbally. No, I don't want to. No. And in the beginning, it wasn't enough. So then I went to the extreme, and I make it very difficult for him. And then at one point, he said, well, that's too much. So now it's like, no, I'm not. No, why? No, I'm leaving. No, you're my student. And I do that, and then I end up giving in, of course. There were a few times where he called just to talk to me, and he'd go, hey, how's it going? And I'd be like, hey, everything's good. And he goes, well, I'm not calling for a phone sex call. And it happened a few times in a row, and I thought he had gotten away from it, but he's gotten back to the role play. He's one of the ones I find interesting because it's the same role play every single time. Either I go to his dorm or he comes to my office, and he doesn't call that often. But when he used to call, it used to be the same thing. And, I guess when you have a fantasy, that's what you want to roll with. So I find him interesting just because he's kind of back. He was away for a while, but now he's back. I had a call the other night, and it's been a while since I've had a tiny dick call, but I didn't know he was a tiny dick at first. So he calls me and tells me that his girlfriend was away and that she likes big dicks. Okay. And she goes out and she gets big dicks. Okay. So for a couple minutes, maybe 2 or 3 minutes, we have a conversation. And then he says, well, I can't satisfy her because I have a tiny dick. I said, oh, is that what's going on? And he proceeded to tell me that when she's done having sex with a big dick, that he's allowed to go in and fuck her. I said, okay, I'm sure she doesn't feel it, but it's all right with you, I suppose. He says, oh, yes, he loves it. So I figured he would continue on with that. But no, he says to me he likes to clean her out when she's done. Okay. Then he says he likes to clean him off when they're done. Okay. And sometimes there have been 2 men, and sometimes there have been 3 men. I think as many as 3 at one time. Okay. But I know there's more to the story because I've heard that there's more to the story from other men. So I'm waiting. So he proceeds to say, I don't like it when they fuck my ass. Seriously? Of course you do. Otherwise you wouldn't have brought it up. I don't say that, but that's what's in my head. So I said, you don't like it? I think you do. Well, maybe just a little. Now comes the truth, right? So I said, oh, so you do like it. And the question comes that they all say to me, does that make me gay? So I give him the answer he doesn't really want to hear, but he really does. And that is, yes, it makes you gay. And the response typically with these men is, oh no, what do you want me to say? No, not at all. That's not the right response. And I know that because I've had the same conversation with several men over the years. They want me to say, yes, it does make you gay. If you like it up the ass, it makes you gay. So this continues on for a few minutes. He wants to know how many men I would like if we were together. Well, I don't want to go crazy. He's only had 3 with his girlfriend. I'll go to 4. Why not? I'll be extra special. So we talk about this little dick some more and about taking it in the ass. And he comes and he's thrilled. And he loves that I'm calling him gay and that, have these men fuck him in the ass. And even though it hurts, he loves it. So another little dick loser calling me and asking for some validation of whatever it is that they want validation for. That's all for now. Thank you for listening to Secrets from a Phone Sex Queen, everything you always wanted to know about phone sex and more. Please reach out to me with your questions and comments at phonesexqueen1@gmail.com and on Facebook at CJCJ and Instagram at PhoneQueen1. And if you go on YouTube, like, subscribe, ring the bell, do all those things so that I can continue on there. Until next time, stay sexy.